My name is Felix Njofi. This is still another video that you may have to watch it. It's still continuity of my driving license issue that is still going on in this country. It's 6 years now. And it has become a different thing now. The UK racist system, they are turning this to different thing. It was just a European license that was rejected in this country. And I have asked them to pay me for the loss of earning. And because this country, their DNA, their ID is based on racism. I'm another black that they are after to destroy. What I want you to understand is this. Any country that can reject a valid document, a European valid document, the same country can frustrate your life and get away with it. The laws are there, and everything is on the system. What will make the government reject your license instead of checking if there's anything they don't understand? What will make them reject a valid license? And even they do, like anybody can make a mistake. Now they realize that they were wrong. It was racism. Why they don't pay me and the game is over? So they want to frustrate me continually more. Like racists, they did kill a lot of people around during slavery. Nothing happened. Nowadays, they see kill and nothing happened. Like they did kill Diana in France. The UK establishment, they set up Diana to be killed in France and get away with it. Nobody faced justice. Nobody say anything. This is what is giving them the power to kill again and frustrate again and get away with it. But because I know the EU law, I just want 3-year loss of earning and peace and everything stop. There will be no problem. If not, anything I know about this country is going to go online. Anything that I know about this country. You know, there are many ways people can get their justice. So if they don't pay me, that's what is going to happen. Many of you might be going through the same thing, that you don't know your way out, that they have destroyed, they have frustrated people, a lot of people. You don't know what to do. Just find out anything about the country and put online for people to see. Anything you know about the country, put online for people to see. It's for justice. And we need somehow to get justice as a human being. It's me now. It could be you tomorrow. Or a lot of you might be going through racism. You don't know what to do. We need to stand up for justice, to stop racism, destroying people, frustrating people's life. Thank you for watching. Please, if you can you subscribe? It will help to stop racism. Thank you for watching.
In the year Captain Newton set sail from Liverpool, the slave trade was approaching its height, and the culture and traditions of Africa were being threatened by the ships from Europe prowling around her coasts. Young Equiano was still a child who had never ventured outside the boundaries of his native village. His boyhood was about to be brutally interrupted.
Thursday, November the 1st. Saw the land, Sierra Leone, bearing southeast 16 leagues. Gave 2 of my gentlemen a good caning and put William Lees in irons for refusing to keep his watch and threatening the boatswain. The carpenters fixed the keel on the longboat. Lower the boat.
Well, Mr. Newton. Captain Newton, what a delight.
A pleasure to see you, Henry.
Yes, a pleasure.
I got your message at the plantains, and knowing I'd rather deal with you than any other on the coast, we made fair speed.
That's it. Honesty is the best policy. No captain made trade with Henry Tucker that could complain after.
Mr. Bredson. Henry Tucker, you're a double-dealing rogue. You sent Captain Ellis and myself the same message.
I can't deceive you, Captain, but I had no way of knowing you would come.
If Ellis is to get the trade, I've wasted my time.
He's almost slave, and Willie Honesty has promised him some more. He will sail tomorrow the next day. You stay where you are. I promise you there will be a run.
If you are still alive. In these wars you speak of, are you safe?
Safer than you, anchored in the bay. I have 6 wives, so I have many relatives and many slaves, all armed. Let them quarrel among themselves. They won't touch Henry Tucker. Without me, there is no trade.
Dash! A gift for you, Henry, from Mr. Manasty in Liverpool.
Well. I am most pleased, most grateful. I think Ellis has enough. You will have preference now. How many slaves you get already?
12.
How long you been on the coast?
Nearly a month.
You do bad trade that way. 2 from Will Freeman, 3 from Kumbenach, 1 from San Fantine canoe. Bad. I deal in big batches.
And your price is very low.
That's true. I know some are asking 70 bars, and some are paying it.
Frenchman, I warrant.
Henry Tucker never asked more than 65. Big, strong man, 65 bars. You're present now. You value the musket at 10 bars, huh? The cloth at 3, the brandy 8. For 21 bars, you could have a nice little girl.
That was a present, Henry.
Top price, 65. But no false bottoms in the brandy. No cloth cut shot in the inside. The kettles must hold water.
No long-breasted women, no dropsy, no yaws.
I trust you, Captain Newton. You trust me. A Bristol man did that to me last year. Kettles that could hold no water. No more Bristol men.
We can trust Tucker, but not entirely. Tomorrow you'll take the longboat up the river yourself and seek your own trade.
Aye, aye, sir. How many men can I take?
I can spare you 4.
Good day.
Mister,
Good teeth? Good teeth, yes. No sickness? Muskets? Powder? And flint? Kettles? Kettles? 2, 3, 4 kettles. Ah, yes, Rommel. 2 bowls of Rommel, yes? Good, yes. Good. Get them below.
What is this commotion, Mr. Arthur?
That one, sir, he'll fetch a fine price.
I thought he was a trader.
Well, he was, but if we take him and keep the goods...
We are not thieves, Mr. Arthur. Who taught you commerce? For the sake of one black, you destroy my reputation on the windward coast. Release him.
I was told it is a common practice.
On some ships, not on mine. Besides, it is good policy to encourage Africans to enter the trade.
Captain! Captain! Mr. Tucker say come on shore. Plenty slave, plenty dash.
Has Mr. Britson come back? Mr. Britson, white man, go up river.
No white man. Mr. Tucker say come ashore.
Tell Mr. Tucker I'll come tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
I told him on no account to stay longer than a week. If Mr. Britson cannot keep to his orders, he will find himself left behind when we sail.
Apo! Apo, Apo! What I promise, good slaves, very good. 65.
Yes. No.
Look again, she's very strong.
No long-breasted women.
She don't buy, she no use. Cut off the head, throw her in river.
She's no use to me.
Plenty use. On ship, old women keep young ones quiet. He thinks you want to eat him.
Henry, you'll oblige me by not confirming his opinion. On my last voyage, the captain was ill enough advised to come among the slaves with a glass of red wine. They thought it blood, and in the panic that followed, 3 of them committed suicide by leaping into the sea.
A fine boy. You will make a house slave. 50 bars.
40.
45.
40.
You want them all branded?
Only the top quality. The rest will be sold in batches.
Look, he's a Fanti from the Coromantine coast. Too much pride, not enough fear. You pay the full price. San Planta will pay the full price. But he will not sleep easy in his bed at night. As soon as Mr. Britson returns with the longboat, I'll sail east for Anamabu. Will you have more on my return? If you advance me some goods.
Agreed. Send these on board tonight. You'll have the goods in the morning. How many have we lost so far?
Mr. Britson and the carpenter, Edward Lawson and William Tuckett, and young Thomas Britson.
Of the slaves?
17.
They know. They always know when she's underway.
The Middle Passage. In the 50s and 60s of the 18th century, more than 200 ships a year made the dreaded crossing from Africa to the New World. It was said that you could smell a slaver 20 miles downwind, and that the sharks followed these vessels all the way across the Atlantic.
I'm not going to hurt you. Let me look at your leg. Grease and sulfur. I have allowed some sick and some of the smaller slaves on deck this morning.
That's proper, as long as this weather holds.
It is arduous to minister to them below, the floor being so slippery and their confinement so close.
Have as many up as you wish, consistent with safety. But have a care. I have heard of ships in which the slaves have risen, killed the crew, and being unable to sail the vessel, drifted until they starved to death. If it were my choice, I would carry half the number and deliver them all alive. My dearest Mary, no one can conceive the contrast between my present situation, distracted with the noise of slaves, suffocated with the heat, and the sweet, agreeable evenings I have passed in your company. God is our refuge and our strength, a very present help in trouble. Therefore will we not fear, though the earth be removed, and though the mountains be carried into the midst of the sea, though the waters thereof roar and be troubled, though the mountains shake with the swelling thereof. There is a river, the streams whereof shall make glad the city of God, the holy place of the tabernacle of the Most High. God is in the midst of her. She shall not be moved. God shall help her, and that right early. The heathen raged, the kingdoms were removed, he uttered his voice, the earth melted. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our refuge. Come, behold the works of the Lord. See what desolations he hath made in the earth. He maketh wars to cease unto the end of the earth. He breaketh the bow and cutteth the spear in sunder. He burneth the chariot in the fire. Be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the heathen. I will be exalted in the earth. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our refuge. Amen. Dismiss. Are you well?
Yes.
I have noted that you neglect your food. And you're using too much of this for one so young.
That's nothing. This flux with which they're affected, nothing prevails against it. It's the most violent form of dysentery.
I'm talking about you.
Sir, I find my own ration stick in my throat when I see...
A pox on sympathy, Mr. Arthur. You will save no lives by endangering your own.
Shackles are free! Lower the boat.
So I put the boy in irons and slightly in the thumb screws to urge him to a full confession. I can sincerely say that I have endeavored to do my duty by them without oppression, ill language, or any kind of abuse, remembering that I also have a master in heaven, and there is no respecter of persons with him. Friday, 7th of June. Departed this life Gideon Meacham.
John! John! Coming, sir.
There's a bottle of brandy in the dining room. Where is it? I don't know, sir. God.
Take that, Bridget. Oh, come with me. There. Property of David Lyle, Esquire.
Even the swelling of the legs is a result of the beating. Some 4 or 5 ribs are broken. And there is severe inflammation of the chest. No doubt the kidneys are ruptured. Where's the oboe?
Without.
Don't lose it, Granville. Brother James has a notion to take the family orchestra out on the river this Sunday or the next.
Oh, capital idea.
Now, did you fall? Or were you hit on the head?
With a pistol, sir.
There may be damage to the brain, and I fear for his eyes. He must be in a hospital.
Well, if you can admit him, I will pay for it.
I'll try St. Bartholomew's.
Morning, Jonathan.
Mr. Sharp.
How many fingers?
3.
Very good.
I'm much better, sir. Every day better. Oh, I can walk and do anything. Only sometimes. Terrible pain.
Well, you can't stay much longer. You've been here 4 months already. Oh, I brought you some clothes. And I confess I've no recollection as to your size.
Well, thank you, sir.
And the food has arrived at the appointed times.
Oh, yes, thank you, sir.
Now, what's to be done with you, Jonathan?
I don't know, sir. Oh, I can work for you, Mr. Sharp. Do anything.
Have you sent a message to your master?
No, sir. Him say him kill me if him see me again.
Jonathan, what was the occasion of this beating?
No occasion, sir. Him always beat me.
He's right, Granville.
I
cannot believe the law can be so unjust.
We will have to find someone to defend you.
I will defend myself.
You've never opened a law book in your life.
Well, I shall open one tomorrow.
Lyle had misjudged his adversary. Sharp studied the next day, the next week, and for months to come. He became an expert in the laws of England. His first move was to bring a countersuit against Lyle himself.
But this is ridiculous, is it not? Far from it. His claim under habeas corpus cannot be denied. Sharp could win the case. I did not say that. But the ruling of York and Talbot in 1729 is absolutely explicit. A slave brought to England remains a slave. No, that was my former opinion. Former. Sharp has circulated this. To myself, Dr. Blackstone, other leading members of the bar. He quotes, among other things, the previous ruling of Chief Justice Holt, that there is no such thing as a slave by the law of England. Lord Mansfield. Oh, there may be a contradiction in the law. The laws of property are clear upon the one side, and the laws concerning the rights of the king's subjects are equally clear upon the other. I hope it will never be finally discussed. For I would have all masters think them free, and all Negroes think they were not. Because then they'd both behave better.
Are you asking me to withdraw?
You would lose the slave, but Sharp might be satisfied. The whole thing may be forgotten.
Do I hear any further bids, gentlemen? Any advance? Go in. Go in. Any more? Gone. One chestnut gelding, sold to the gentleman at the back. Lot number 3, property of Captain Holmes. One boy slave, direct from the Guinea coast. Guaranteed sound in wind and limb and free of all diseases. Captain Holmes is most particular in his choice of commissioned slaves. This one is a Fantee, a breed known for good humour and willingness to serve. He already has a few words of English, will train well, and will make an admirable decoration for a household of quality. Turn the boy round. There's an excellent servant in the making. How much am I bid for the boy? Who'll start me off at 20? 20 guineas. 20, sir, thank you. 25? 25?
You want to buy the boy? No. But I might buy a field hand to take back to Virginia.
26
The law's still alive. Let's take a look at them.
Any advance? 27 and a half. Any more? 30. 30 and a half. Do I
Which
hear
one do you
any
think?
further bids, gentlemen? Any more?
That's the one to buy.
And a half. 31, sir. 31 for this fine specimen. 32 and a half. 32, 33. 34, 34, 34 and a half. 35. 35 I'm bid. Sold for 35 guineas. Take the boy down. Lot number 4. One-man slave, James Somerset. He's the property of Mr. Fothergill. Now, this one's a runaway. He's a powerful, well-set-up young fellow, as you can see. Now, who'll start the bidding? Who'll start me at 20 guineas? 20 guineas. 20 guineas, sir. 20 and a half. 21. 21.
Oh, did I send you a copy of my pamphlet on the Old Testament prophecies?
Indeed, and one on the flooding of the River Thames. Puzzles me how you find the time to do it.
Oh, I have plenty of time while Lord Mansfield prevaricates.
You cannot force that old fox to do anything.
The longer he avoids an answer, the louder will the question be.
Mr. Sharp. Oh, sorry, sir. They're selling slaves down near the docks.
Yes?
I see some gentlemen going to buy a runaway like myself. A boy named Somerset.
Are you sure he's a runaway?
Oh, yes, sir.
And where is he now?
The man said he was going to send him to Virginia.
This is all the simple pleasure and song it goes.
Give orders for them to be brought up. Mr. Counsel, sir. Get them below and send Mr. Counsel to my cabin.
Below! Stop that from. But they must have air and exercise.
We cannot risk a mutiny.
Like a rat cannot survive there.
It is well known the blacks prefer the heat of the hold. Look at this chart. We enter the Caribbean here between Trinidad and Tobago. Is that not so?
Aye, Captain.
We headed west by north. We thought 10 days ago to have sighted Hispaniola.
Indeed, sir.
I think it was Jamaica. Wind and current. We were not there, but there. Only a few hours away. Now we have sailed past our destination. We must turn back.
This floating coffin cannot sail to windward. Take us a month, sir.
We must turn back.
Aye, Captain.
I have been studying the articles of insurance. How many slaves have we lost?
Nigh on 60. 7 of my lads.
That is bearable. But if, beating slowly to windward, we lose considerably more, and make Kingston with but half our cargo, and those not fit for sale, it will be blamed on us. But if, being short of food and water, we jettison some, to preserve the others.
If only we could.
That is what we will do.
No, Captain Collingwood.
If it be for the safety of the ship, the underwriters must pay. The cargo is insured against the perils of the sea. Our situation is desperate, Mr. Kelso. We have but 3 butts of sweet water remaining.
But it rains nightly.
They are sick and the contagion is spreading.
How can they live where a candle cannot burn? Give them some air.
It is not possible. There are only 7 white men left.
The slaves are too weak to hurt anyone.
It is less cruel to throw them into the sea than to suffer them to linger out a few days.
Mr. Equiano to see you, Mr. Granville.
Oh. Good morning to you, sir.
Forgive my calling on you without notice, Mr. Sharp, but my errand admits of no delay.
Please sit down. Now, perhaps you can explain to me who you are and who recommended me to you.
My name is Olaudah Equiano, and your service to my people needs no recommendation.
You have come from Africa?
I was kidnapped thence as a child of 10 and was a slave in the West Indies. But I am a free man now and do not come to you on my own account.
Please, go on.
You may recall that I and one Otuba Cuguano wrote to you some years ago, thanking you for your efforts in the case of James Somerset.
Of course I remember.
If you have done so much for one, will you help us to avenge 132 men and women who've been cast into the sea alive, in order that the owners should collect insurance?
If you have proof of this, we will bring a charge of murder.
It may be too late. The case has already been heard, and the owners awarded £30 for each life lost.
And no mention made of murder?
None.
I shall instruct my lawyers to begin a prosecution of murder in the Admiralty courts.
Will it be heard?
And I will persuade the insurers to appeal.
Against the decision of the lower court, which found that the master was fully justified in his decision to jettison the said cargo of slaves. Mr. Lee.
My lord, I utterly reject the appeals of counsel on the other side to the pretended feelings of humanity. I assert the unquestionable right of the master of the vessel to throw overboard as many living slaves as he pleased, provided he exhibited a powerful reason for doing so. And, my lord, I most forcibly object to the presence in this court of a person intending to bring a criminal prosecution for murder against the parties concerned. So far from a charge of murder lying against these people, there is not the least imputation of cruelty, I will not say, but of impropriety not in the least. This is a case of chattels or goods. It is really so. It is a case of throwing overboard goods. For to this purpose, and for the purpose of the insurance, they are goods and property. This property, human creatures, if you will, has been thrown overboard, whether or not for the preservation of the rest. That is the real question. Whether right or wrong, we have nothing to do with
The court accepts that contention, Mr. Lee. The matter to the jury in the lower court was whether it was from necessity. For the jury had no doubt, though it shocks one very much, that the case of slaves was the same as if horses had been thrown overboard. Mr. Piggott.
My lord, on this question of necessity, it appears at the time when the first slaves were thrown overboard, there were on board 3 butts of good water. It was therefore only an apprehended necessity, which is not sufficient. Soon afterwards the rains came, which furnished water for 11 days, notwithstanding which more of the Negroes were thrown overboard.
I object. There was no evidence that Negroes were thrown overboard after the rain.
That evidence is here in the transcript of proceedings. Now, the life of one man is like the life of another man. I contend that as long as any water remained to be divided, these slaves were as much entitled to their share as the captain, the mate, or any man whatsoever. I further contend that this loss arose not from the perils of the sea, but from the negligence or ignorance of the captain, for which the owners and not the insurers are liable. The truth was that finding that they should have a bad market for their slaves, they took this means of transferring the loss from the owners to the underwriters.
The court finds that there is great weight in the objection, but the evidence does not support the statement of loss made in the declaration. There should be, on the ground of reconsideration only, be a new trial on the payment of costs.
Before a new trial could be held, Captain Collingwood was dead. Version was complete as the old African blasphemer, the former slave captain, John Newton, now the rector of St. Mary Woolnoth in the City of London.
I've seen them agonizing for hours, I believe for days together, under the torture of the thumb screws.
A dreadful engine, which if the screw be turned by an unrelenting hand, can give intolerable anguish. God, forgive me. I know the mate of a ship who purchased a young woman with a fine child of about a year old in her arms. In the night, the child cried much and disturbed his sleep. He rose up in great anger and swore that if the child did not cease making such a noise, he would presently silence it. The child continued to cry. At length, he rose up a second time, tore the child from the mother, and threw it into the sea. Why do I speak of one child when we have heard of over 100 men cast into the sea? These are but instances of the spirit produced by the African trade. So, it corrupts us all. For the perpetrators of these acts are Englishmen. Our...
Not content with the Prime Minister's windows, the good people of England overturned the royal coach. Unfortunately, His Majesty was absent at the time.
This is All Out Politics, news, debate and opinion from the heart of Westminster. Now, Burnley voted to leave the EU by a large margin. The town has a large ethnic minority population, and some we spoke to said they had experienced more racism since the Brexit vote. Sky's Michelle Clifford spoke to 4 women about their experiences since last June.
I think the community in Burnley especially has always been divided as long as I've been living here. But I think that the thing about Brexit is it's allowed the division to be spoken about more explicitly and in ways that are more divisive as well. So not in just a very comfortable way where we're talking about, oh, we're all segregated and divided, but actually quite... It sometimes can be insulting, sometimes can be attacking, sometimes can be scapegoating.
Is that something that you have felt as well, that it kind of has legitimised? But maybe views that people kept a lid on before.
Yeah,
they now
I think people feel that they can more openly speak about them now and in public, and you know, when they're in places they can talk about things like that. That it's more open to talk about.
And is this something you've noticed?
Yeah, I have noticed, like when I've been out and when I've been like socialising or been for like coffee and stuff, of the conversations that people do have to feel they are, you know, able to speak about them types of things more.
Yeah. So you've noticed more racism, I suppose people would call it.
Yeah, that's what I would call it. Yeah, when you hear people speaking, it is racist, but they don't consider it to be because they think they're able to say that now.
Who thinks Britain's a more racist place than a year ago?
Roseanne, you made the headlines last month because although you don't think it's racist, you do have a pretty big problem with some black people.
No, not black people, with Negro features, which is why I used the word. It's not
I just can't think of anyone who's got Negro features that isn't black.
Correct, but
right.
There's a lot of people with black skin who don't have Negro features.
Right. And the problem would be...
I don't know what the problem is. I wish I did know what the problem is. That's what I said on the documentary. I really don't know why. I can't explain the discomfort I feel. I really can't. Shall
I move? Am I too close?
Is a genuine question.
Am I too close?
Is that making you uncomfortable?
I don't want to upset you.
Not uncomfortable, no. But let's put it this way. I wouldn't form a friendship with her.
Well, you wouldn't have any... It's not an option, though.
I don't need...
OK, well, she hasn't offered, to be honest. Elaine, what are you hearing? Elaine, what are you hearing here?
I'm really worried about the language you're using. You're a counsellor and you're using racist language. People are hearing that on television. They're hearing the racism that you are speaking.
Why is it racism, Elaine? I mean, I'm not trivialising anything, but some people have an irrational fear of buttons, clowns, balloons. With Roseanne, it's Ava. Tell Roseanne why you find this so unpleasant.
It just really offends me that you would not treat somebody for what comes out of their mouth and what's in their heart, rather than the colour of their skin, the shape of their nose. Why would you do that? We're all part of one race.
I don't treat them any differently. I am civil.
You are treating them differently by saying that out loud.
No, if I
in
avoid
public.
them, that's not treating them differently.
Well, it is.
It is.
You are convinced that Britain is a racist country, and presumably you've found what you would consider to be proof of that here already today.
Sitting in front of me.
Well, that's one person.
I don't understand how how racist can you get, you know? There is racism from each end of the country. I've been experiencing racism from as young as 5 years old. I am now 21. That is 16 years of racism.
What do you mean when you use the word? Tell me about the sort of stuff
racism,
you've endured.
You know, for example, you know, when I was a young kid, right, I'm from Sevenoaks.
Now the grand old age of 21.
I'm from the good old place of Sevenoaks, and I'm also from Canterbury, right? And I was the only Asian kid in my town, and I used to get racism from every angle. You know, everyone was like, oh, look at that Asian girl. Why is she here? Why is her family here? My dad and my mum were living with us. My dad didn't really speak English properly. My mum was even worse. She was just a housewife. She didn't speak English enough properly. You know, people used to go to my dad's restaurant. They would buy curry from him. They would throw it back at his windows, call him, you go home. You know, why are you here? Go in bed in a microwave. And people used to attack